summer break in between seasons, there is going to be an awful lot of transfer rumour. Now, some of it is going to be precisely that. It is just going to be a bunch of talk, a bunch of noise that ultimately nothing comes of it. Now, the following may well be precisely that, or there may be a little bit of substance to it. So who knows? A couple of days ago, Callum Wilson put out on his social media accounts what most people believe, myself included, to be something of a goodbye. However, yesterday, as I recalled this, it was reported on Knees Up Mother Brown that there'd been what appears to be, on the face of it, a change of heart, with Callum Wilson verbally agreeing to a new one-year contract at West Ham. Now, it should be remembered that he was signed at the beginning of the season that's just concluded on a one-year deal. So his contract is about to expire in a couple of weeks. Now, get your comments in the section below as to what you think about all of the ins and outs about this. And if you haven't already, please make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you have a little look and just check if you are subscribed, because the analytics on YouTube would suggest that quite a lot of the people that watch this content are not actually subscribed. So do us a favor, just have a little check of that. And if you're not subscribed, please click the subscribe button and hit the bell notification so you'll be alerted to any of the new content that pops up on the channel. Please also like this particular bit of content and give us a hype if you've got one available. So back to the topic at hand, Callum Wilson. Now, he came in a year ago on a deal that purportedly said that for each appearance he would make, he would be paid quite a lot of money. For every goal he would get on a goal bonus, because there was a lot of question marks about his fitness. So down the years, he's been someone that's had a little bit of a checkered record as far as that's concerned. So he came in, he's 34 years of age now. He'd previously been at Newcastle, and he left there when his contract expired. He'd also been at Bournemouth. I remember being at the Upton Park on the last season. Upton Park, we played Bournemouth right at the beginning of the season, and Callum Wilson tore us to absolute shreds. That was the first time that I'd actually encountered the player, Callum Wilson, and I was thoroughly impressed. Now, he always had a bit of a unique knack of scoring goals against us, and there'd over time developed this little bit of needle between Callum Wilson and the West Ham fans at large. Now, personally, yeah, I was part of that. I remember one particular game where we played Bournemouth at Dean Court, or the Vitality, whatever you want to call it, and he scored a goal where not only was he offside, it was handball as well. And he gave this interview afterwards where he said it was a little bit of magic, quotes unquote. And I don't think that went down a bundle with the West Ham fans. But be that as it may, you got to say that he's been someone that wherever he's gone, he scored goals. So when we signed him, I was quite sort of, pleased that we'd got someone that had a proven track record as far as that was concerned. But always had that little bit of a question mark over his injury record. So now he obviously came in, and to begin with, he started the season as on the bench. He went to the game at Sunderland and got the last 18, 19 minutes on the pitch. And it wasn't until a couple of games later when he played against Nottingham Forest, again, come on as a substitute, played the last 26 minutes or so and scored a goal there, and he was off and running. Now, in the end, he managed the princely sum of 7 Premier League goals, and also managed to get the starting 11 times. So 11 starts, 7 goals. Now, you got to say, on paper, that is an absolutely tremendous record. And he was in the squad 37 times out of the 38 Premier League matches that we had, which, again, is something of a feat, I think it's fair to say, for someone whose injury record was certainly questionable at best. Now, a lot of those 7 goals that he scored came with him coming off the bench, as I say. And if this is to be believed that he's verbally agreed a new one-year contract, it's promising news. Now, I will say, again, it has to be stressed, it's a verbal declaration. Right now, no contract has been signed. So we'll wait and see how this plays out. This could be something that may play out in a slightly different way than what we're expecting, given that particular piece of information. But what do you think? If Callum Wilson signs as a West Ham player for the 26-27 season in the EFL Championship, what are your expectations of a player who in 11 starts scored 7 Premier League goals? Now, it has to be said that on the face of it, a very good very good acquisition he would be for the 26-27 EFL Championship season. I do have a concern that in all likelihood, I do fully expect that Taty Castellanos may well be on his way. There's been a few stories doing the rounds about we would like to try and keep him, and given his performances in the Premier League between his transfer into West Ham in January time and the end of the season, I think it's fair to say that that is a given. So I think if we could keep Wilson and Castellanos, that would be a really good boost to our chances of getting promoted at the first time of asking. If I'm being completely honest, I probably expect Castellanos to move on. But having that experience that Callum Wilson would bring to the party in terms of his know-how, his ability to negotiate matches, he has experience in the Championship as well. So I think it would be a player that I would be quite happy to sign up for another year, but we need to make sure that the financials are all in place. I mean, we couldn't pay him what I believe he was on in the Premier League, sort of coming on scoring goals. I think he was on about 85 grand or something like that. Well, we can't, if he played a match, that is, and scored. Like we couldn't have him on that sort of money. That just wouldn't work. So the financials need to be put in place. But if he's made a verbal agreement, which as KUMB says on their article, is indeed the case, I think that this is a positive move by and large. I think again, I still have that little bit of a question mark over his injury record, but then I guess that's probably allayed slightly by the fact that in a 38 match Premier League season, he was available for 37 of those matches. He was in starting 11 times, and he was substituted on the other 21. He was utilised, and there was 5 appearances that he didn't make an appearance, but he remained on the bench. But he was available for all of the squads bar 1 in the Premier League last season. As I say, 7 goals, and you would say that possibly it should have been 8 because of obviously the goal that was chalked off by VAR against Arsenal. Whether it was correct or incorrect is, I guess, a matter of your own judgment. But what do you think? Callum Wilson to West Ham, bit of a shock this one. I didn't see this one coming, especially given the social media post that he put out on his own accounts that would suggest that he was saying his goodbyes to West Ham United. And then a day or two later, KUMB, a respected outlet as far as West Ham news is concerned, have put out to say that there's been a verbal agreement. But obviously we have to factor in 2 things. Number one, KUMB doesn't get everything correct. Occasionally it uses the information it has. It's like any publication, like any resource does. And sometimes it will get it right, but other times it will get it wrong. There's no outlet that's 100% right 100% of the time. So that's one thing. And the second thing is it all hinges on a verbal agreement. And unfortunately in football, verbal agreements don't mean anything. They're not worth the paper that they're not printed on. So until there is ink put on the contract, I remain a little bit cautiously optimistic. But I think that this would by and large be a very good acquisition for West Ham. He brings a little bit of know-how, a little bit of expertise of that level as well. Experience goes without saying. He's 34 years of age. And as I say, if he scores in 11 starts in the Premier League, 7 goals, what is he going to give you in the Championship? I think it would probably be maybe upwards of 10, 12, 15 goals, something around that level, if he can keep fit. And that is the big question mark. But what say you? The comment sections below. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, drop a thumbs up on the video, and give us a hype if you've got one available. We'll see you again soon. Come on, you Irons.
West Ham are massive everywhere we go. West Ham